Hello, all my Malcolm people. Welcome again to one of our Make a Culture Move podcasts. Happy Fro Friday, everybody. Hopefully, you're wearing your natural hair. I won't do too much, but no, it's natural. But yes, welcome to our Malcolm Make a Culture Move podcast, where here we cover everything from intense social topics to funny social trends. We are your hosts, Mark Jonathan.
Tabitha, say hi.
And unfortunately, we do not have G. She is traveling at the moment, so safe travels to her. We'll see her soon. But before we get started into our podcast, a brief disclaimer, please.
So here at the Master Podcast, here at the Master Podcast, we cover a lot of intense social topics that do not represent Malcolm as a whole. So as we go podcast, keep that in mind, okay? So yeah.
Absolutely. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get it started. Tabitha, what you got for us today?
So today, this week we've had our workshop and we've been talking about the school to prison pipeline. And yesterday, so a point was raised that I wanted to touch on, which is like, what rights do we have and what rights do we not have? Because in America, we're told that we have the freedom of speech and we have the right to carry a gun and we have the right to due process and all these other things. But if you look at society as a whole and what's been happening with our people getting gunned down in the streets and things like that, and mass incarceration, being pulled over for really no reason at all, having your car searched, stuff like that, that's not a reality. So I definitely want to get into the history of it. There's this case that came up before the Supreme Court with this dude that was a slave named Dred Scott. And he that basically laid the foundation for the rights that Black people do not have in the United States of America. So yes, I'm gonna dig into this article, and I'm gonna go ahead and read it for y'all. So it says, "No rights which the white man was bound to respect." The Dred Scott decision. This month marks the 150th anniversary of the Supreme Court's infamous Dred Scott versus Sanford case, in which an African American slave sued for his freedom. Dred Scott's argument was that because he had been brought into a free territory, he could not be returned to the bounds of slavery. Over the course of 11 years, this case was litigated several times over, and eventually wound its way into the United States Supreme Court. I guess that's wound. Anyway, on March 6, 1857, Chief Justice Roger Taney issued what is widely regarded as the worst Supreme Court opinion ever. He noted that the question before the court was whether African Americans are citizens of the United States and thus able to file suit in federal court. His analysis of that issue is couched in abjectly racist language. Here we go. African Americans for more than a century before been regarded as belonging as beings of an inferior order, and although altogether unfit to associate with the white race, either in social or political relations, and so far inferior that they had no rights which the white man was bound to respect, and that the Negro might justly and lawfully be reduced to slavery for his benefit. He was bought and sold and treated as an ordinary article of merchandise and traffic whenever a profit could be made by it. So I'm gonna kind of stop right there, and I guess I will or will not come back to this article, but it kind of goes into, the rights that we quote unquote have in the United States of America. As I kind of went over in this article, it says that we're so inferior to the point where we have no rights that are bound to be respected, and we are justly and lawfully reduced to slavery for benefit. So that, like, socially or politically in relation to the white man, white woman, the black man and black woman have no rights that any white person is bound to respect. And you could see that today with the way that, we're being gunned down the street. You don't see that when it comes to white people. I've seen a white man chase down the police with a knife and they did nothing. Mark, you guys?
Yeah, nah, just to build off what you already said. I mean, those rights and things of the sort might be in place for us, I think the biggest issue is whether or not they will respect it or hold that's like to the same stature as our counterparts. So yeah, basically just picking back off what you said.
And you can see that even in the workforce, the work industry, a lot of us are, unemployed. A lot of people, the argument always comes as, Black people need to stop playing the victim because, there are some people that are successful and things like that. But I don't think that we're playing the victim. And that's something that I'm going to get into a little bit later because that's a question that I'd like to pose is, are we playing the victim? You know what I'm saying? When it comes to racial inequality. But to go back into this article real quick, because there is one more little part that I did want to touch on before moving completely on. It says the response to this opinion was immediate. Rather than settle the issue of slavery, it simply inflamed public opinion and divided the country further. Frederick Douglass assailed Chief Justice Tanning's opinion, noting that the rights of African Americans derive not from any judicial pronouncement. Okay, I keep hearing myself echo. But from natural law, we are told in tones of lofty exultation that the day is lost, all lost, and that we might as well give up the struggle. The highest authority has spoken. The voice of the Supreme Court has gone out over the troubled waves of the national consensus, saying peace, but still, the Supreme Court of the United States is not the only power in the world. It is very great, but the Supreme Court of the Almighty is greater. This understanding of Dred Scott has become almost universal. During his recent confirmation hearing, Chief Justice John Roberts was asked about the Dred Scott decision. He characterized it as a deplorable act of judicial fiat, claiming that it is perhaps the most, I don't know. But anyway, that I didn't mean to continuously go on to that. But you can see like Frederick Douglass is like a very well-known scholar in the Black community. And that just kind of goes back to what rights do we have? Mark, as a Black man, I could kind of ask you that question. What rights do you feel like you have? When you get pulled over by the police, you feel like you have the right to roll your window all the way down or, reach for your phone to make sure you're recording what's going on.
Nah, I mean, definitely, I feel like I have to definitely be more cautious, or at least, I've said this before, the objective is to make it home. So with that being said, not that I feel like I have less rights, but I feel like I'm on a shorter leash, if that makes sense. And I even hate to say that because I'm not no animal, but it's like I have just the smallest room for error. I can't move aggressively or talk aggressively, raise my voice, no sudden movements. Like I don't know. Yeah.
But even with that, how do you feel like you don't have? I mean, that you don't have less rights. That's what I want to know.
I mean, because I feel like my rights are in place, but I feel like it's what I said earlier. It's just whether or not they respect it. You feel me? So I feel like yes, I do know that. Thank you. But I'm just yeah.
I mean, for me being a Black woman in the United States of America, I know for a fact that I have more rights than the Black man has. You know what I'm saying? There's ways that I'm able to move that the Black man isn't able to move. And, that does come from slavery, but like, it's just like the Willie Lynch letter is in full effect. And I think that, the whole movement of, to preserve the body but take the mind is still in play today, because like your mind, you have to submit to a man that you would not submit to otherwise. So it's kind of like, it's very I think it's hard to put it's hard to, I guess, to articulate. It's hard to articulate. And I think that's something that we struggle with articulating, because, fish, you ask them what type of water they're swimming in, they can't tell you because they've been in that water their whole life. But you ask a person of color, what their surroundings are like and how they're detrimental to them, and they can't tell you because they've been in that water, in that situation their whole lives. So that kind of goes into, can we what rights do we have, and can we advocate for ourselves? And I don't know if you want to touch on that at all, because if you don't have rights that a white man's bound to respect, I don't know.
I mean, I do. Okay, I'll say everybody should at least know your rights. You feel me? Whether or not they will be respected, acknowledged, whatever words you choose to use there. We've seen in the past, most likely not, but at the very least, you should know the rights, quote unquote. You feel me? There's a lot of people that don't even know they've been convicted for things that if they just would have known not to say something, or know that they had the access to something like a lawyer or anything like that, it could save them a sentence. But
yeah, I kind of did this video that I seen. I was like, I think it was like a poem that G had played, and the dude was like, you do get the right to a free lawyer, but he's on our payroll too. So at the same time, this man doesn't have your best interest at heart. So, I mean, as far as like, I feel like if we understood the rights that we don't have, then I think that we would be in a better situation. And I don't think that we would be wouldn't think that we're out here fighting for rights that we don't have, and still nothing has changed. We gained the right to vote, nothing has changed, because we want to be equal. Everything's equal, but we'll never be equal to this white man because of the 400 years of slavery and beyond that. So that's just basically how I feel about that. But is there anything else you want to say on that one? Okay, so I will move on to the next one. What I have next is a video about racial inequality. This video was interesting to me because it's a not black man. It's a white man and a black woman talking on racial inequality. So let's get into it. Let me unmute, and here we go.
Won the election with small majorities in a few key states. There's been a huge amount of attention paid to the white working class, what their concerns are, what their troubles are, and what problems they face. But in the rush to understand what's happening to white Americans, it is very important that we do not forget the deeper and longer term problems that are faced by Black Americans, which did not change on election day.
Black families have the highest level of food insecurity of any population group in the United States. 1 in 5 Black families live in households that are food insecure, as compared to 1 in 10 white families.
Almost 4 in 10 Black children are in a household that is in poverty, which is twice the rate that is faced by other racial groups.
Black families in America live in substandard housing conditions at almost twice the rate, actually more than twice the rate, of white families in this country.
Among prime-age Black men, 1 in 5 are not in the labor force, which is twice the non-employment rate for other groups.
Although blacks and whites use marijuana at approximately the same rate, blacks are over 3.5 times more likely to get arrested.
For every dollar that's earned by a white worker, 74 cents is earned by a black worker. The levels of debt that black college graduates have, it is twice the level of college debt for whites.
The likelihood of an African American woman being incarcerated in the United States over her lifetime is 1 in 18. That's as compared to the likelihood of white women being incarcerated, which is 1 in 111. Over the course of a lifetime, a black man has a 1 in 3 chance of incarceration, as compared to white men who have a 1 in 17 chance.
For a black child born into the bottom 20% of the income distribution, about half of them, 50%, will still be there as adults.
We are not saying that other disparities suffered by other groups are unimportant. Indeed, we think it is very important that we pay attention to the disparities that every vulnerable group suffers. However, at this time in our history in America, it is most important that we do not lose sight of the very specific disparities and inequities suffered by African Americans, historically and currently.
Cool. That's all I wanted from them. So basically, the inequality that's going on, like they say that more vulnerable groups, but let's be real, the more vulnerable groups are Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, because we're at the bottom of society. And that's just how it is. People of color, we're the ones out here struggling. That 1 to 3 ratio of people that go to prison and or jail, that's pretty much equal amongst, our other people of color counterparts. It's just scary to me, man. That's scary to me to think like my son, there's this book, and I highly suggest that everybody read it. If you don't like to read, there are videos out there, but it's by this man named Paul Butler, and it's called Chokehold. And he is a black man that had to fight his way out of a case, out of something. He was falsely accused of a crime, and he had to say look, I did not do this ish. And because he was a public defender, he knew how the system works against him. So he kind of went against the grain and decided to write Chokehold. And it says that if black men are traveling in a group more than 3, they are more than likely to get bothered by the police because of that chance, of that statistic that 1 in 3 black men go to prison and or jail. So if you're traveling in a group more than 3, they know that one of y'all is guilty of something, and that's why they're always going to come for you. So I don't know, Mark, you got anything that you want to say on that one? Because I mean, that's crazy. It's cool.
Most of the statistics I was already aware of. This is just real and in effect, you feel me? Like, the statistics are only rising. We went over the school to prison pipeline this past week in our workshops. And with that, even COVID has no effect on that school to prison pipeline. So even in the pandemic, we are still being in prison, still being in the system. So nothing's really helping at this point. But solutions, we've already said, we got to get on one accord, all for the betterment of our people. What that looks like. I'm sure we all got different views, but this ain't it. And the way it's going, it's only going to drive a huger gap.
Right.
Or a huger, I don't know if that's a word.
Yeah, huger gap. It's going, put some space in between us. And it's crazy because, we all have different views on how we get on the same page and how we get on the same accord. You know what I'm saying? So that's why, I'm a big advocate for, I'm gonna say it on here, for IUIC, because everybody in that organization, we're all on one page. We're all with one understanding, and we have an understanding that everybody's not going to have the same understanding as us, but that's okay, because the change that we're trying to make, that's only going to be accomplished, That's only it's only going to be accomplished if we make that change for ourselves. Change comes from within and not from without. So if you can't change and you refuse to change, and you refuse to put certain parts of your mind and your mentality that you've been living with for years and years and years, and nothing has changed for you, but you're still like, oh, I'm going to be like this, and you don't want to change, nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change for your people, and nothing's going to change for your own self. So I just think that, like, even with that whole like shop black on Black Friday, and shop black during this quote unquote holiday season, that's why a lot of people are going, a lot of people, we don't support each other. That's just how it is. If I could find somebody that makes clothes in my organization, guess what? I'm gonna have that person make it for me rather than going out and buying it from, a big corporation that makes clothes and things like that. So that's just kind of where my mind is at. What about you? Is there anything that else you want to touch on as far as like Black owned businesses and things like that? Do you know of any?
I mean, most Black businesses I know of are usually like restaurants. I don't know. I wish I knew more like hardware Black owned businesses or things like that, or software industries, something like that. But basically what you were saying, we got to keep our dollars circulating within our community if we want it to grow. We can't go to the Walmarts and the Scott markets. Like if you look at my friend Elijah told us this, like if you look at Chinatown, they have everything within their own community, and then they don't go without, unless they absolutely have to. But 9 times out of 10, they already have it within their community. Right. And that's something we got to do, really invest in these business ideas that, we just not sitting around. I forget where I heard this from. But this person said the difference between how white people smoke marijuana and Black people smoke marijuana is Black people get high, and then talk about how they want to make millions. And then white people make millions and then get high. If you're going to smoke, at least do it after you're rich.
I'm a big advocate for being sober, and I look at marijuana as a drug because of how hard it is to get off marijuana once you start smoking it. Not only that, but people talk about how marijuana is a herb and how it is an herb, but like how it's for medical purposes. What medicine do you take by smoking it? You can't smoke medicine. That's like saying you sniff ibuprofen and you feel 100% better. Or that's like saying
there are other ways to take.
You break down. Huh?
There are other ways to ingest it.
I get that. Trust me, I understand that. But I'm just not an advocate for, marijuana use at all. But that's just me. My mom smoked weed. My sister smoked weed. I used to smoke weed. And I know that withdrawal, people say it's not for everybody. It shouldn't be for anyone. It kind of goes into what the sister was saying yesterday. The reason why Black people are the number one consumers of, harmful drugs and things like that is because we are so destroyed as a people. We're mentally destroyed. We live in the worst circumstances. And so the way that we deal with that is by self-medicating. And that's kind of what, marijuana is, no matter what form you take it in. If you don't have a health problem that you're taking marijuana for, and you're just taking it to self-medicate. And that's what it is. Because a lot of people that are happy, healthy, and wealthy, they're not out here smoking weed. And those people, even rich people, like the Migos and people like that still do stuff like that, they're still self-medicating. Because if they look at their people as a whole, as the total population of African Americans, we're not all good, and they want to help, but the reality is you cannot stretch their money doesn't stretch that far. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense. I don't know.
I mean, but even to that point, like I've always said, like Black people don't really even have a money problem. It's always been a spending problem. But like if we learn financial literacy and how to get our money and then stack it and preserve it and save it and then invest and then make money in our sleep, and then the 7 ways of income, which hopefully you know about. If you don't tune into our workshops, then that's definitely ways that we can make them dollars stretch, or at least gain them dollars.
Right.
But I feel what you're saying.
Right. And let's move on to this next article to bring out, because it goes into like a Black-owned business that talks about, racism in the barbershop. You know what I'm saying? The racism that happens outside of the barbershop. And so let's get into this article. I'm very excited about this article. I liked it when I seen it. I was like, ooh, this is dope. Okay. Outside this barbershop on Bruce Randolph are racist slights and movements towards justice for Black people. Inside, a warm place for Black people to talk. I don't know about any of y'all that have ever been to a barbershop. I used to go when I used to have short hair. It was a great place, to talk about, stuff that's going on in the Black community. That was a place where, you could just chop it up with, people. There'd be all kind of people in the barbershop. But so Patrick Efferson deftly glides a trimmer across a customer's beard, finishing a clean-looking shape, the kind that leaves you wondering if it's possible for your hair to hug a head any closer. The barber applies some aftershave. That stings, boy. That stings, boy, jumps the older man in the chair. We're inside exclusive Cuts Barbershop, the business Efferson owns and runs on Bruce Randolph Avenue. Despite the name, the barbershop is anything but unwelcoming. Soul music blasts through the speakers just above the conversation level, and conversation runs rampant here. People don't have enough places to vent, with men and men of color having a place to vocalize and talk about the things that are bothering them and not be looked or frowned upon. Efferson says, besides a barbershop, I can't tell you any place in America where that's the atmosphere, that's the vibe. None of us are psychologists, but we might play a part in helping mental health problems. Exclusive Cuts is a warm place where customers from the neighborhood talk about who bought a Cadillac and what's going on locally and nationally, whether it's the changing neighborhood or the civil rights movement for Black justice. It's a place for people of color to vocalize, Efferson says. They may not be politically active, but this is a place where they can talk about frustration or even cross-cut and say, how you doing with all this? I think that's Trey. Trey Riggs, Efferson's friend, a fellow barber, proudly grew up around Bruce Randolph. My granny said between here since forever. Like, what? She's been here since forever. Okay. He says, Riggs' mom grew up nearby on Fillmore Street. He loves the area. Okay, even with all this COVID stuff going on, it's not going to stop people from being friendly to one another, says Riggs. When you walk outside, you feel like you're at home. Hold on. When you walk outside, you feel like you're at home. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what you're saying. Nobody don't be bothering nobody. Nobody speaks. Nobody I can't talk. Nobody be bothering nobody. Everybody speaks, everybody friendly. And that's what Bruce Randolph represents, friendliness. It's cliche to frame Bruce Randolph, the street, in the image of Bruce Randolph, the man who was all about humanity and giving, but Randolph's soul is palpable here at the barbershop and down the street at the bus stop, where a day earlier, men delivered a hot meal to people sitting on an RTD bench. So yes, thank y'all for, lasting through my struggling in that reading. But needless to say that, yes, the barbershop is definitely a place where a man can, let the stuff off his chest. That's, back when I used to get haircuts, I've had short hair a good bit of my adulthood. But like sitting in the barbershop, especially a black barbershop, there's one in Aurora off Buckley and Iliff that I used to go to. And we talk about everything. One day I used to come in there, with my hair straight and looking like, the most preppiest of preppers. And then one day I come in with a hat wrap on and fringes, and the dude's like, "Oh, I thought you was one of those what do you call it?" He basically called me a coon. I don't even know. I was just like, yeah. I found out more about my identity, but they're a bunch of Egyptologists. It is what it is, But it was just nice to, talk about, they talk about what's going on in your life. It is a good place to, to let it off the chest. There, she was chilling in a barbershop. The hell, yes, I was chilling in a barbershop. Go ahead, Mark, because you've been you're a man. You've probably been in more barbershops than me. So go ahead. What's that atmosphere like?
Nah, I think for me, the thing that resonates with me the most would definitely be like the sports talk. I'm a huge sports fanatic. So, always hearing different people's opinion. Like I grew up a LeBron fan. So like I used to always argue like LeBron versus Michael Jordan, just go at it. But at the end of the day, it's always gave that sense of brotherhood or, like big brother, you feel me? Somebody who's gonna give you their opinion but never judge yours, you feel me? So it's real, but like at the same time, they're not gonna let you do nothing stupid. So and that's barbershop has always had that same type of culture for me, that safe space. So yeah.
Definitely a safe space. Definitely a place where you feel like you could freely speak your opinion without being judged too harshly. Of course, people gonna have something to say about what you say, but if you grew up around Black people, everything is. I don't know how to explain it. But yeah,
You just gotta be Black to know.
You gotta have thick skin, is what I was trying to say. You gotta have thick skin. Don't come around if you're gonna be sensitive, because you're not gonna make it. So all right. So that's a good. I guess it's not a good segue, but we're gonna move on into your part, Mark. What you got for us today?
Yes, indeed. So to start off, I actually got something crazy that I stumbled upon going through CBS News. So if we could just click that link. So I believe this went down in Kansas City as well. So a police officer runs over a Black man.
Damn.
And the article says intentionally at that. So just getting into this article, there's a video attached to it as well.
Okay. I don't know why, but it takes forever to load. Okay. Can you see it?
Yes, I can. There will be an ad attached to this. We do not support.
Okay. Disturbing video shows deputy intentionally running over Black man. Lawsuit.
Yes, indeed.
I seen a video. I think I seen the same video earlier in the week. I was like, really? So yes, y'all, we do not support any of these advertisements. We definitely encourage you guys to go back and watch these videos for yourself.
The new Verizon Business now you can pick a plan for as low as $30 a line.
Anyway, so kind of to touch on this as we kind of wait for this ad to play, it's crazy how the police can just literally run us down and gun us down.
It goes.
Hey, like DK Sub says, that's a t-shirt. You gun us down and you run us down.
Right. It definitely goes back into what you were saying previously, though. Like, I couldn't imagine this happening to a white man and then it not reaching like hella views. And then, oh, here's the video right here. Hold on.
It would have went viral if that was the case. Hold up. So hold on, they recorded it? That's the hold on, we gotta find out.
It's on a dash cam.
Disturbing. No. Okay, are you gonna read it? Are you just gonna let it play?
My bad. In the complaint, Womack alleges Rodriguez intentionally drove over him According to Sue, Rodriguez initiated a car chase over an alleged traffic violation and eventually assures this Womack, wow, that's going really fast.
Wow.
Am I reading slow? I felt like I was reading fast. I mean, I'll be reading a little bit of the article that explains more of the situation anyway, so.
That's crazy. They ran him over.
Exactly. I'm mad that the video kind of stops because it looked like they were about to like run over like a second time. But if you could just scroll down for me a little bit, I can get into this article.
Okay.
So the dashcam video captured an horrific scene. A Kansas sheriff's deputy in a patrol truck mowing down a black man who was running shirtless across a field in the summer darkness after fleeing a traffic stop. So Lionel Womack, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, a 35-year-old former police detective from Kansas City, Kansas, alleges in an excessive force lawsuit filed Thursday that he sustained serious injuries when Kiowa County Sheriff Deputy Jeremy Rodriguez intentionally drove over him during the August 15 encounter. So intentionally drove over, like, that's crazy to even think about. Like, hopefully the correct charges are pressed because, like Tabitha said, this would go very viral and the officer would definitely be held to some form of punishment if this were a white man.
Did he live?
I believe so. He just sustained serious injuries.
Because this quote down here is like, when the first officer turned his lights on, I pulled over and complied exactly as you're supposed to. But when 3 additional vehicles pulled up quickly and started to surround my car, I freaked out. That's when I took off. It was fight or flight. It was a fight or flight moment, and I was going to live, he said. I felt like I was in danger. This was out in the country late at night, and it was dark, so I ran for my life. That's what you see in the dash video. I'm running in an open field, and I'm scared. Damn.
So, yeah, I guess that's his side of that story. I mean, regardless, there's no real reason to hit the man with your car. Like, that's nowhere in protocol. What is that? Like, that just shows how we get treated. Man, what can you even say about that?
I mean, the quote where he was just saying like he complied and he was scared, like to say like he took off because he was scared, I would have took off. But at the same time, I'm like, it's fight or flight. I'm fright. I'm gonna sit there. I'm gonna freeze. I'm fright. And then whatever's gonna happen to me is gonna happen to me. But like, I'm not. And I'm like wondering like why 3 additional cars pulled up on one person. You have a whole gun. Like, what do you need additional backup for?
3 cars worth.
Right. That just doesn't make sense.
Not to me, at least.
But you know, we're people of color, so you know we've just kind of like we're just like this ridiculous. But yeah,
we're super threatening. As I say, you shouldn't sign up if you're gonna be that scared. But we can move on to the second video. Lighten the mood just a tiny bit. So we have an ex-gang member turned Missouri's Teacher of the Year. All right. So we talk a lot about people that look a lot like us or that come from some of the situations that we come from. And this is one of those examples right here. You know, somebody who's been exposed to some of those conditions, and then to be able to reform and then be in the teacher system guiding some of the students in Missouri. You know, I love to see it.
Right. So let's dive into this article here. Okay.
So here's this man right here. Again, this is blacknews.com. I use this the last podcast. So a former gang member wins Missouri's Teacher of the Year award. So St. Louis, Missouri. Darian Cockrell, who had a rough childhood and became a gang member before he turned 10 years old, turned his life around and has now been named as Missouri's 2020 Teacher of the Year.
Oh, right.
I know, right? So as a child, Cockrell said he took education for granted and joined the gang when he thought he had no other choice. We were just already in it because of our family, he told Good Morning America. I didn't care about books. I had to go home and figure out what I was eating. I had to figure out if my lights were going to be on. He didn't have a stable home, then transferring between a foster center and some relatives when his grandmother lost custody of him. His counselor, principal, and teachers fought in the court to let him stay at school. Eventually, his 7th grade football coach and his wife took him into their home. It takes a village, so, you know, where he lived until graduating from high school. A few years later, he earned a degree from the University of Missouri, St. Louis. So Wayne got his degree, turned his life around, and then it kind of just goes into a few more of his accolades. But yeah, just to see the change, you feel me? Again, what Tabitha was saying, you know, be the change that you want to see in your community. You know, this man started out his family already in gangs, so it's almost like his route was already chosen. But instead, he chose different, you feel me, and made the best of whatever situation he was in, and then helped out people in his community. You know, got his degree, did it the right way. So, hey, kudos to him.
Yeah, I mean, like that just goes to show like how good or how great a little bit of a difference like somebody, you know, stepping in to help you out can make. How much of a difference it can make. You know what I'm saying? Like my doors are always open to like, you know, my sisters that need my help, and definitely open to, you know, my little sisters that may need my help. Some of them look crazy. But my doors are open, you know what I'm saying? And my rent is definitely going to be affordable. Until you get on your feet, you don't got to pay rent. But definitely, you know, wash dishes and do small chores. I'm not going to take advantage of you. I'm going to do what I got to do, wash my own dishes and stuff like that. But when you do start paying rent, only $200. It's not, that wouldn't even cover even close to any of my bills. But $200, you know what I'm saying? That's definitely something. When I was struggling and, you know, was kind of like staggering on my feet, somebody offered me $200 a month, and then eventually they were like, oh, you don't got to pay rent. That helped me out so much to the point where I could get out of debt and like set myself up so that I could have my own place. And that's where I'm at now, have my own place. So an opportunity definitely, you know, helps, having an opportunity. But Mark, you got anything else to say on that? Okay, cool. So I got time to go over this last article. I want to talk about Boosie. Okay, excuse my language when I say this man's name. Boosie Badass, the rapper. He is suing Mark Zuckerberg for I don't know, I think like over $1 million or something like that, because his Instagram got suspended. And I seen this video and I was like, wow, TMZ, they be coming with the stuff. I've seen TMZ definitely released, you know, that image of that little boy that had got massacred. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. I think that it's funny that Boosie's account got suspended because he's like, it's a pandemic, man, begging for his Instagram back. So let's get into this video. There might be an advertisement. We do not support this advertisement nor the business. But yeah, we're waiting for this thing to load, and it's gonna be tight, and we're gonna get ourselves right, and hopefully, all the BS will be brought to light.
So he sued, right?
He sued. I don't know whether or not he won. I don't even know. It should have like already. It should have been known whether or not he won or not. But he definitely made the plea. Like, I need my Instagram back, man.
Oh yeah, he do make money off his Instagram though. Is that the basis of his
lawsuit
claim or whatever? Yeah.
It's the basis of his lawsuit. This is taking forever to load, but I do also have I have a article to touch on. This also crazy. He's suing. He's not suing for $1 million. He's suing for $20 million.
Damn. I thought it was two.
I thought it was two. He's suing for $20 million for. I don't think he's gonna get it. I don't think.
Oh, not 20 mil.
Mark Zuckerberg is a powerful man. Is this the same one? Did I click on the same one? No, I didn't. Okay. Anyway, so Boosie Badass suing Zuckerberg for $20 million, claims IG ban was racist. Everything's racist when you know. Okay, Boosie Badass is taking his beef with Mark Zuckerberg to court. He says Instagram banned his account because he's black. So now he's suing over it. The Louisiana rapper claims he was the victim of racial discrimination when IG put him in social media timeout back in August. And he says he's suing the multi-billionaire Facebook and IG owner for $20 million. Maybe I could get this video to play, but I doubt it because these videos be acting shady. No, I can. Okay, I'm gonna stop it right there. And I'm gonna come back in. But I think that is crazy that this man is suing Mark Zuckerberg for $20 million. That's not gonna work. Okay.
I wonder how much he lost to make him think he need 20 mil.
I wonder. Lord will find out. That's ignorant. He's suing for $20 million. That's ignorant.
What is he supposed to sue for?
I don't know, but not $20 million.
I mean, I agree somewhat. I feel like he should sue for whatever he could estimate he would have had if Zuckerberg did not ban his account. Right. And I don't think that's 20 million, so I feel you.
Man.
But as far as Boosie goes, he's hilarious though. You could tell he was getting mad. He like, this is discrimination. Like all these people getting their account back over and over and over. This is discrimination.
He's like, that account's only been taken from me one time.
For real. He said, I posted a girl with an emoji over her. And then he take my account. Come on, dog. Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, dog.
Come on, man.
Come on now, dog. But yeah,
that's all I got for today. I just wanted to end it on a lighter note for me. I want to give a quick shout out to Gadiel. He made the Space Force. Just wanted to throw that out there. I don't know if y'all know what that is, but Shout out to Gadiel. Congratulations. So proud of you. Okay. But other than that, that's it. Mark, you want to close us out? Let's get it.
Yes, indeed. As always, thank you all for being a part of our Make a Culture Move podcast. Just a brief overview. So we had our first discussion of if we had any rights. Society claims we do, but whether or not those are actually respected or acknowledged has proven not to be the case. All right. Then we had just some more on that, and then we had the right to talk. You feel me? We had our discussion about Black businesses with the barbershop on Bruce Randolph. Then we had the unfortunate incident of the officers intentionally running over the Black man. I'll try to find more on that story. Hopefully justice will be served. Our farm, you feel me? Then we had our ex-gangbanger becoming Missouri's Teacher of the Year. Shout out to that. Always being the change that you want to see in your community. Then we had Boosie suing Mark Zuckerberg for 20 mil. I do not think he's going to win, but this world is crazy, and I've seen crazier. All right. But yes, this has been Make a Culture Move. Be on the lookout for our workshops. Follow us on all of our platforms, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And as always, y'all Mac 'em out there.
Mac 'em.